Welcome to the December 3rd Board of Selectmen meeting. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Don Klein, present.
Wayne Miller, present. Everybody, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make announcement that the meeting is being recorded.
Depends on John, too.
Chairman's additions, deletions. I think we have one deletion. Is that correct?
Yes, no executive session.
That's been canceled and moved to the next meeting?
Correct.
Okay. I think that's all I had there. Public comment period. Anybody have anything to bring up? Yes, sir. Just announce your name and.
My name's Anil Kaupi. I live at 61 Main Street. Employee of Townsend.
No buttons to push?
Nope.
Nothing to it. Is it working?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, the reason I wanted to speak to this is all the software at the senior center that matters, the fobs and the lighting and the heat, are all in one system. And it's an old system. The software is getting old to do those things. My concern is, unless we have something in the works, we're going to wake up one day and the ice is going to break under us, and we won't have anything.
Yep, I believe that is something that's on our to-do list, to have an energy audit or the whole system off. So it is.
Well, my concern is we don't want to wait.
We're not. We're
Okay. Now, anyway, there's other things like the phone systems here. I mean, I'm not here to save Bassam or anything, but I don't think it's wise that I don't know if you're going to subcontract this out to a business or don't know. But the learning curve here is quite long because there's a lot of things involved, and I don't know. I haven't heard what your Board of Selectmen are planning to do.
I don't think it's on this agenda tonight, but it is a topic that we are addressing.
And my main concern is that it affects me because I'm going to go over there one day and it's not going to be there.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that's really all I had to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? A couple minutes early to 2.1 tax levy public hearing for fiscal year 2020. I have a sign-in sheet if you guys circulate. So I'll open the public hearing. Somebody sign in, read the legal notice. Legal notice, Town of Townsend, public hearing. The Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019 at 6:05 p.m. in the Selectmen's Chambers, 272 Main Street, Townsend, Massachusetts, for the purpose of determining the percentage of the local tax levy to be borne by each class of property for fiscal year 2020. The hearing is in compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56. Interested taxpayers may present verbal or written comments prior or during the meeting. Townsend Board of Selectmen, Wayne Miller, Vice Chair, or Chair, Don Klein, Clerk. To be published in the November 22nd edition of the Neshoba Valley Voice. And I'll turn it over to our assessors.
Okay, okay, as you can see from the options chart, the residential property class makes up about 92% of the Townsend's tax base. The commercial, industrial, and personal property classes contribute an additional 8%. With one tax rate for all classes, we estimate a tax rate of $19.52. If we were to apply the maximum shift, shifting more tax burden on the commercial, industrial, and personal property classes, the residential rate would decrease to $18.65, lowering the rate by only 87 cents. This shift would raise the commercial rate to $29.28, which is an increase of $9.76. With such a small commercial base, a split rate is not feasible. The Board of Assessors recommend a residential factor of 1, taxing all property classes at the same rate.
Does anybody else have anything to add as part of the public hearing? Don, anything? No, so this basically keeps everything the same?
Yeah.
That's the simple way to put it? Okay. I like simple things, so. Yes, Veronica?
Can I just ask, isn't that what we always do? Have we
Yes.
ever done anything different?
No, but you still have to hold the hearing.
Oh, okay.
That'll make it official.
Thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion?
What's,
I think
it's
it's
right on there. Oh, I make a motion that we move to adopt the minimum residential factor of 1.0 as the recommended by the Board of Assessors.
And I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll close the public hearing on that one.
Can you guys just sign that one?
Where?
Anyone?
Down here?
Yep.
Okay.
After I upload that to Gateway, I'll have a signed copy to you all.
Awesome. Thanks, Vic.
Okay, public hearing number 2. 2.2, telephone pole public hearing, 183 Main Street. I have another sheet. Very good. So I'll announce the hearing and announce the petitioners, which are on this thing. Jim?
It's Unitil.
Oh, it's Unitil? Okay. I read the hearing notice. Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2019 at 6:15 in the Selectmen's Chambers, 272 Main Street, Townsend, Massachusetts. The purpose of this hearing is to consider the petition of Fitchburg Gas and Electric Light Company and Company Incorporated under the law of the Commonwealth for the transmission of electricity for lighting, heating, and power. Respectfully ask permission to construct and use a line of transmission with poles and other fixtures necessary to sustain and protect its wires along the public ways in said town as follows. Main Street, install one new pole in front of 183 Main Street, 1,060 feet west of Greeley Road, Townsend, Mass. See attached sketch plan, plan number 605L. As to this end, the Honorable Board is hereby requested, after due notice and a public hearing as provided by law, to grant your petitioner and successors and assigns a location for such a line, agreeability to the provisions of Chapter 166 of General Laws and all amendment thereof. Also for permission to place and maintain underground laterals, manholes, handholds, cables, and wires in above or intersecting public ways for the purpose of making connections with such poles and buildings as it may desire for distributing purposes. It is suggested that the poles be located substantially as shown on the plan filed herewith, marked Fitchburg Gas and Electric Light Company. Proposed pole locations in Townsend Plan number 605-L, dated 10/16/19. All citizens are encouraged to be present for verbal or written comments prior or during the meeting. Board of Selectmen, Wayne Miller, Chair, Don Klein, Vice Chair. Okay. Checklist of abutters. So has notice gone out, Jim?
Yes.
So everybody's been notified. Any comments from them?
Negative.
Okay. The application did, I don't have
It is
anything
complete.
to add to it. Anybody from the audience have a comment or concern or, yes, sir?
I'm Jim D. with Unitil.
Okay.
I'll try to explain what we're doing. Unitil is doing some upgrading to the Townsend substation right next to Sterilite. And we're replacing some equipment in the substation. We're replacing poles and the wires coming out of the substation. It's been a few years, so we're upgrading all that equipment. And right now, the line comes out and it splits.
Okay.
And now we want to come out of the substation, there's 2 circuits. One goes to west, one goes to Townsend Center, the other one goes to Harbor. So we want to take those 2 circuits out on the same set of poles and go straight out and then split when we get out on the main street instead of, doing a wide, and make it look cleaner and neater
Okay.
while we're doing the upgrades. So that's basically it. Adding a pole. It's not in front of anybody's house or anything.
Okay.
So it shouldn't be a problem with anybody getting in and out of their driveway or anything.
Okay.
So we do have a stake there. I don't know if anybody in town or if somebody looked at it. But we have a stake marked where that pole.
You see it?
Okay. Any discussion, John?
No.
Okay. No, I'm fine with it too. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the application for replacement of pole and wires located on Main Street.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Joe. 6:25, we're a little bit early.
Yeah, one thing, Jimmy, there's a section back here, do we have to sign, or do we have document?
There's the one with this, for signatures is in the office, so we'll have that for you.
Okay. So we need a motion to sign that out of session then?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
I make a motion that we assign the document for this out of session.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I know we're a little early. Mr. Jackson, you ready? 2.3, Randall Jackson, the Montechusett Regional Trails Coalition.
Do you want me to sit anywhere?
Just up front's fine. It's not a speaker, it's just for the
with the
TV.
TV.
Oh, it is? Okay.
You don't have,
My name's Ray Jackson. I'm representing the Montechusett Regional Trails Coalition. The Montechusett Regional Planning Commission has always worked with every town. But back in 2012, the Montechusett Regional Trails Coalition got together down at the Doyle Center. There was over 100 people. And one of the overwhelming discussions was, what did everybody want in every town? And everybody thought it was a good idea to have a trail that connected every town to every other town, like Townsend to Pepperell to Ashby to Fitchburg and whatever. A lot of things are easier said than done, right? So what we've done over the last 7 years is try to get together our act where we could go out to the 22 cities and towns of the Montechusett Regional Trail Coalition and present them our ideas. And I thought when I did it that we should first present it to the selectmen who are elected by the people in the town so that they would have a general idea what I'm doing. So basically, I'm an ambassador from the Montechusett Regional Trails Coalition. We're going to present this to every town. And what we're asking every town is to help. Do you have a vision plan for recreational trails in your town? Recreational trails can be a benefit both financially to every town and also as a safety device for like the rail trail we're working on now, and we have other trails in town where people can recreate, seniors and young people, and bring back their health. Also, people would come to this town if we had a vision plan and we developed trails like, for example, Lancaster and Groton has, where people would come and then maybe stay overnight, buy meals, so it can benefit the town as well, other than health-wise. So what I wanted to present to you is, I don't know which group in Townsend would be most friendly to this kind of effort, which is to determine what trails we already have in Townsend, how they can connect. For example, we have the Land Trust, Townsend Land Trust has trails, and then the Conservation Commission built trails a long time ago, and at some point we should be able to connect those trails and make it a continuous trail system. So we need a vision, some group that's going to do this vision, whether it's conservation, open space. I'm not sure where. Groton does theirs a different way, and they have a big multiple committee that meets in Lancaster for theirs. In one of the towns that's not part of the Montechusett Regional is Westboro. They have a charm bracelet that goes 30 miles around their town. So there, the land trusts were most involved in developing it. So I gave Jim the copies of what we would like to have, and if you have an inter-board meeting or you have any ideas on where I should go next, where you think it would be best to develop a vision plan for the town of Townsend for trails. Cutting them is one thing. We can all do that and go to pizza the night after. But the biggest thing is maintaining those trails. Right now we have trails all over New England that don't have anybody maintaining them. So we want to have a vision plan where we can develop them, connect what we already have, and then maintain them properly.
Okay. Jim, what do you think this course of action?
We've been wanting to hold a multi-board meeting, and for a variety of scheduling reasons haven't been able to get everybody on the same page. But if we look at perhaps in January, after the holidays, trying to get something scheduled where you would have the benefit of all those boards and commissions in one room, and it could be put on the table and figured out who would be the best representative individual board, or perhaps even a new subcommittee of the town comprised of participants from a number of different boards that already exist. But I think that'd be a great project to have serve as the topic of discussion for that
Yeah, because
joint
it really
boards meeting.
doesn't sit under one purvey.
No, Ray's correct. I mean, it's done a number of different ways, and I mean, whether it's conservation or recreation or planning, or I mean, it could be any number of different. And it might be that everybody wants a piece of such a project. So. Okay.
All right, let's plan on doing that then.
And it's long term, it's not something we do right away, but what I use for an example is you wouldn't want somebody to get up and say, I think I'll build a nice trail today, and have it be parallel to another one that's a quarter of a mile away going in the same direction. So, but, because once you cut a tree, it's not going to stand up again until 25 years later. So, anybody else have any questions? No? Okay.
It's a great idea.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for presenting it. And
Okay. So I'll be willing to cooperate with anyone. I gave Jim a copy of my resume, and I'm pretty much involved all year long on trails. So I couldn't head anything up, but I'll be glad to attend the meetings if anybody's going to start something.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. All right, 3.1, review, discuss support letter for the Municipality Vulnerability Preparedness Planning Grant. And I believe that's why all you guys are here.
That's true. If folks want to come up and bring some chairs right up to the table, even so you're close to the mic.
So, talk to us.
Well, we had, the planning board had discussed this particular grant to dovetail into a lot of other projects that we're looking into. We've been looking at bylaw changes. We've been looking at housing production plans that the governor has been talking about. And this grant was something that was presented to us, and as a board, we decided that this would be something that would be worthwhile for us to look into, especially for eligibility for future grants that we may need for certain upgrades for, looking at a vulnerability plan for the town and what we need to do to further protect the residents. So we've been working with the land use coordinator as well for this to write the grant. The grant at this point is complete. We have been seeking letters of recommendation. We've gotten a lot of support in regards to the planning board, land use coordinator, fire chief, board of health, conservation commission, highway department, master plan committee, the conservation trust, Squanicook Greenways, Nashua River watershed associations, and there's also citizen letters of support for the particular grant. I know that you had some questions in the last meeting that you guys had, so.
I did. One of them was around the hours of work required. I noticed that was upwards of 120 to 200 hours I think they were asking for. My question is, where would that fall, and who can do it? Because we haven't budgeted for another position on this, so.
Correct. A lot of those are for the completion of workshops. Let's see. There is, the hours will come from staff that's already budgeted. It's not something that's going to be extra above and beyond what's budgeted hours. I think, would you be able to speak a little bit more on that in regards to?
Most of the hours will be for the workshop. They're called Community Resilience Building Workshops. In Townsend, if we are awarded the grant, we can either do a one-day, 8-hour workshop or split it into 2 days. What staff will be doing is preparing invitations to other communities, as well as publicizing the workshops, just basically event organization for the workshops. The grant award, what happens is a consultant is hired to do all the data collection and gathering and presentation work. That's all included in the grant. So for staff time, it's very similar to what I would be doing, preparing for a meeting. And I think it's
regular duties.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Lindsay and I spoke, and this was all hours that are budgeted that we would normally do for a grant like the DLTA grant with the Regional Planning Agency. It just is get rolled into our daily activities quite fluidly.
And this is just an application for grants, we're not
This is
getting
the
it.
application.
This is the
And the work has already been done.
Pretty much.
For the most part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we've already prepared all that. If you remember, I did a report in regards to looking to put us on a preferential grant and put us in a position where we'd be in a better position to be able to go to that. This is one of those items that if we did go through with this, we get the grant and we do work on the MVP, this will also place us in a good position to get on the preferential grant list.
So post-grant award, is that going to require more hours too, or is it just, is that the same thing we just talked about?
Pretty much the same thing we talked about.
It's really preparing for these, the workshops that we're going to do, and then probably gathering information to give to.
I just don't want to get into a situation where we're looking at adding a position that
Well,
mid-year or something that we're
And
prepared
just
for.
talking about hours, some of those hours are volunteer hours that are spent by people like you and us.
Okay.
And so those, you have to factor that time in as well,
Okay.
and that's not paid time.
Yeah.
So the town, I would hope, wouldn't be concerned about.
Yeah, if you looked at all of just the time that we've all
Never
spent in
volunteers.
putting everything together, I mean, there's a lot of hours that gets involved in that, so.
Don, do you have any questions?
No, I was gonna ask about, but she already answered the question, because there's usually part of these grants are what they call in-kind service hours that volunteers would do. And that accounts towards the hours that they
Okay.
would.
All right, I didn't understand that, so.
Yeah. Also, the entire planning board was very open to whatever time that they needed to put into this, that
Okay.
they'll also do. We also have other.
And this would remain under planning board?
Yep.
Correct, okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep. We also have other community members that are willing to help us as well, that have helped us out with other projects, so I think this would be a good way just for everybody to, so in the presentation, I think, is the only other time, once we complete it, so, then we would present what our findings are to the board.
Okay. So are you looking for us, is it just to sign a letter?
A letter of, yeah, the letter of recommendation.
And if you would, participate in the workshop. Either the 4-hour workshop or the 8-hour workshop.
As long as you bring snacks.
It's a planning workshop. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
There'll be
So,
snacks.
Yes, and so that would be most appreciated.
Okay. Anything else, Don?
No?
Can I get a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion that we draft a letter of support for the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Planning Grant.
Okay.
Yeah,
And sign out of session?
Then sign out of session, yes.
Second.
Thank you.
A second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Before you guys go, quickly, Mr. Chair, both Veronica and Chaz speak publicly regularly. Beth doesn't.
I know.
Beth was really nervous about tonight. I think she did a swell job, and I just wanted to thank her for coming up and stepping out of her comfort zone.
Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Learning a lot here. Thank you.
All right, 3.2, discussion regarding the police chief screening committee and process. So, this is a continuation of our previous discussions. That we had about committee makeup, when, who, where, well, and all this.
Mr. Chair, where you guys had left this, 2 meetings ago now, was with 4 citizen names to be pared down to 3. And at your last meeting, you both asked to take some additional time to think about it. Since then, there's been some discussion, very informal, about whether or not it makes sense to look at an internal posting before having a full-blown outside posting. While these aren't union positions that we'll be talking about this evening, the next, well, one of them is, we do have processes in place for a number of positions where there is an internal consideration before going outside. Why would you consider something like that? Part of it is it provides stability to the organization if there's somebody that is deemed appropriate to take that next chair. Presumably they've been in a chair just beneath in some capacity and have experience in the organization, know the people that they'd be managing, know the policies, know the other departments. So stability for the organization is key. The other time there's a benefit in doing an internal posting would be just for the succession planning and career development of your employees, to let them know that that there is always consideration for upward mobility if they prove themselves to be worthy employees and competent and capable to take that next step. It doesn't mean that you begin and end with an internal. If you do an internal and you just don't feel it, you then go to the full external search. But it does at least give consideration to those that you've had working in the trenches for you already. So I just wanted to put that out there.
And just my 2 cents on that whole thing, I firmly believe all the positions that we'll be discussing tonight, I'd like to go that route, just to, again, create that sense of upward mobility and some continuity on that. So I don't know how you feel, Don.
I always would prefer to promote from within if we've got qualified candidates, so.
And if they're not, then we go outside, like you said, so. So as far as this process, I would suggest we do that internal posting first. Still have them go through the screening committee. And then, listen to the recommendations and then pull our own interview, if you will.
Thinking about a screening committee, if, looking in the department right now, I can imagine 2, maybe,
Who knows?
maybe 3, that might put in. And the screening committee was to give you 3. So that's, is there an extra step being added there versus if it's an internal posting, having the posting come directly to you with so few candidates already being limited to the number that you might have otherwise been expecting?
I'd still like it to go through a process, I think, just to keep some continuity there, to get several other opinions, because this is a community position, like it or not. It's not just reporting to us. I mean, this touches all aspects of that, and I think that's what, when we started the committee discussion, we picked several people that we felt were key to the town and well connected within the town. So that's how I feel. I don't know.
Yeah, I would prefer to have that screening committee, just so we have another set of eyes looking at it.
Okay. So, I guess we need a motion to post internally first.
Okay, I make a motion that we post for, it's for the first
Police chief.
police chief, that we do a posting internally first.
For a period of, what do you, a month? 4 weeks? What's typical, Jim?
I think that anybody inside knows and has known that this is coming, and if they've been interested in it, I think a month is overkill. I think you could probably do a couple a week on an internal posting. We generally have those run shorter than we would an outside posting.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you think a month feels comfortable to you, then that's great, but I think you could do less than that, and people will be prepared.
Okay, well, it's December anyway, would be the likelihood of a screening committee meeting between now and then is probably pretty slim, so I'd say a month is fine, just give us the month of December.
Okay.
Yeah, same.
So do the first week in January?
Sure. And I second your motion. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so as far as the committee itself, we have to pare down those 4 to 3, or what was it?
Correct.
So, I don't know if you put some thought into it, Don?
They're all good candidates.
I know, it's like throwing names into a hat and
Yeah.
picking. 2 of the gentlemen I know already, so I'm comfortable with them, both Sam and, I'm drawing a blank, the guy from the rail trail. Bill.
Bill.
Yeah. So between the other 2, I don't know if you have a preference, or?
No, they're all, I didn't have a chance to speak with the gentleman that lives in Timberley Park.
I haven't either, I've been out of town, so.
But, just reading his resume.
Well, can we have one as an alternate?
You could, but if they hadn't participated in each meeting, then they're really kind of undercutting the idea of keeping everything consistent. You want the same people asking the same questions in the same order, just so it's a fair process across the board with everybody.
But they could sit in on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I would suggest we choose one of them as an alternate, just in case somebody drops out. That's,
Okay.
that way, at least they'll all be involved.
Yeah.
So Wayne, you have Bill and Sam because you know and are familiar with them.
Yep.
That leaves Jason and Jeff.
What do you think?
Jeff's a longtime resident, so I'd lean towards Jeff.
Okay.
The other 2 I've known for quite a while too,
Okay.
so I'd make Jason the alternate.
Okay. Do you need a motion, or?
If that'd be great as a motion, then we can fully convene it.
Okay.
I make a motion that we seat Sam Bagulio, Jeff Sullivan, William
Wilkinson.
Wilkinson, thank you, as members of the screening committee, And, sorry, but Jason's last name is
Gilberti?
Gilberti, okay. And Jason as the alternate.
I second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
3.2.1, interim police chief appointment. So we are fast coming up to our police chief coming, and I don't know how many meetings we're gonna have between now and January 1st, so I wanted to get this on the docket so we had continuity moving into January 1st. So I would consider a motion to appoint the deputy chief as the interim chief starting January 1st.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
I make a motion that we appoint
Jay Sartell.
Jay Sartell as the interim police chief beginning January 1st.
And I'll second that. So that allows the department to keep running, I guess is the best way to describe it. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 3.3, on internal posting, discussion regarding the water department superintendent.
Same thing, Mr. Chairman. The job description is still under review, but there's nothing that precludes us from posting the position. Your posting generally doesn't include the full extent of the job description anyway, but to get the process going, I know that we're contracted currently for a little bit longer with Ms. McEnroe, but I'm sure she's not interested in staying, for the end of her career here. So we could get an internal posting up on the board and make certain that the water commissioners are aware and on board with that.
And they'd be the screening committee, essentially?
They would, yeah.
Okay. All right, fine with that.
Yep.
Motion?
I make a motion that we post internally for the water department superintendent position.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
3.4, internal posting discussion regarding facilities coordinator.
And this one actually is a union position, and it would be a union requirement that we have an internal posting.
This one's a bit choppy, in my opinion, just because the job description piece is being rewritten by the Collins Institute. We seem to be operating pretty well as is right now, so I guess I'm going to leave
I think we are operating well, but I think that's in large part because people are, the analogy of the swan that looks like it's going smoothly across the surface of the water, it's paddling like heck underneath. There's a lot of paddling underneath that's keeping the place going. I think my recommendation would be an internal posting with the proviso that the job is subject to change, that the description is under revision, and making that perfectly clear up front that the end product might look a little different than the product that we currently have.
And would that have any effect on it being a union position?
I would think it would, because you have to go through negotiations to change it.
Actually, you don't need to go through negotiations to change the job description. It's a core management right defining the position, and we've got that staked out in the management rights clause of the contract. And again, I think if it's a conditional hiring with that proviso, I think we're okay.
Okay.
It would then allow us the opportunity to fill that position, and if internally that position gets filled by the person in the second chair, then we can move forward and fill that second chair as well. But I think it at least shows some stability and upward mobility for people within the existing core.
I just wanted to check because that one's a little bit different than the other two.
Yeah, I don't want to get into something prolonged with the union, so.
Yeah, I don't expect that we would, Don. What's been made clear each step of the way since before you're assuming the seat is that job descriptions are a core management right. And if we create a different position entirely, and it wanted to be an adversarial situation, it would ultimately be resolved through a RIF of that old position and a rehire under a new position. But it wouldn't and shouldn't have to come to that.
Okay.
So,
Okay. I'm fine with that, so can I get a motion?
I make a motion that we post internally with the caveat that this position is under review for a job description for the facility coordinator.
And I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
3.5, Eagle Scout Proclamation for Trenton Boyett. If you don't mind, I'll read this because I
Go ahead.
attended the ceremony 2 weeks ago. Unfortunately, we didn't have a meeting there to read this publicly, so I just wanted to make sure it got on the public record. So we have a proclamation. Whereas the Boy Scouts of America offers an environment in association which foster good citizenship, honesty, integrity, and diligence in our younger people, and whereas the practical aspect of scouting provides training for our youth in survival, independence, and a sense of loyalty to our country, and whereas Trent and Boyett joined Boy Scout Troop 10 at Townsend, Massachusetts, has completed requirements for, and having been examined by an Eagle Scout Board of Review, was found worthy of the rank of Eagle Scout, and whereas Trent and Boyett has, as his Eagle Scout project, designed and installed the Welcome to Townsend signs, whereas the approach to an attainment of Eagle rank is lengthy, detailed, and difficult. It requires intelligence, tenacity, determination, and a highly motivated desire to succeed. And now, therefore, we, Wayne Miller, Don Klein, Selectmen of the Town of Townsend, Middlesex County, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim Sunday, November 24th, 2019, as Trent and Boyett Day, the town of Townsend, and urge all citizens in Townsend, together with their family and friends, to join us in honoring Boy Scouts of America and saluting Trent and Boyett for his achievement. So, congratulations.
Yes.
Okay, 3.6, review and approve 2020 holidays.
Mr. Chairman, you have in your packets the standard letter that comes out each year at this time, listing the holidays for the upcoming year. The one thing I'll bring to your attention is Christmas Day is listed as December 25th, 2019. Obviously, that's a typo. It should say 2020. So we'll get the file updated to make certain that that's clear.
Okay. I don't have an issue with any of these.
No.
Can I get a motion?
I motion that we approve the holiday schedule for year 2020.
I know we've talked about this a little bit too, but does this have any effect on unions, since we're talking about this now?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay. I second. And all those in favor?
Aye.
3.7, discuss set date for special town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, after talking with a number of folks, including town council, looking at the required number of days for posting of a warrant for special, which is 2 weeks, and the fact that you can't post that which has not yet been created, and you can't create the warrant unless the special town meeting date has been called and the warrant opened and then the warrant closed. Some number of days in between those two things. It can be as limited as 72 hours for it to be open and closed, but with the holidays that we're up against right now, you have Tuesdays in January of the 7th, 14th, 21st, and 28th. If, just as a starter for discussion, you called for a special town meeting to be the 21st of January, that would mean it would need to be posted on the board 2 weeks earlier, or the 7th of January. And then if you back up, that would mean if you open the warrant, if you called the special town meeting for January 21st and open the warrant tonight, close it on the 30th of December. So give it, the balance of the month of December here. That would give us a week to get it cleaned up, approved by council, and ready for your vote to post on the 7th.
Okay, I'm fine with that setup.
So this would be for the meeting of the 21st, correct?
Correct, that would be for a special town meeting to be held on January 21st, so.
Set that first.
Right, so the motion would be I move that we set the date for the special town meeting to be January 21st of 2020, with the warrant opening today, closing at noon on December 30th.
Okay, get a motion.
I make a motion that we open the,
Set the date.
set the date for the special town meeting to be January 21st of 2020, opening the warrant today with a closing of noon on December the 30th.
And I'll second. So hopefully that works and we don't get 2 feet of snow.
And I will confirm, obviously with the moderator, I've already checked in with the town clerk and this works for her.
Okay.
So,
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 4.1, Town Administrator Updates and Report.
the only, having just met last week, the only thing to discuss this week is IT phone update, and IT, as I mentioned to you, Mr. Chairman, just before the meeting, I'm still awaiting a proposal on operations from an outside consultant. I think that was mentioned earlier tonight under public comment. Well, it was discussed as to what the town's plan is moving forward. So I'd like leave to have that on your next agenda.
Okay.
I did send out a follow-up email yesterday as a reminder that I needed something. I don't know, with the snow, everybody's work schedules got put a little bit behind. In terms of the telephones, we have a turnover date from Comcast this coming the 10th, so a week from today, where the switchover in Town Hall will take place and will be live on the phone system. The remaining piece that we still have then is going to be the conversion to either Office 365 or Google's G Suite. And I know in prior conversations, when Chairman Lucio was on the board, she was particularly enamored of Office 365, having attended some discussions at the state level where they had indicated that it was the state's preferred platform. I don't know if either of you or both of you have any thoughts one way or the other between the two. I'm agnostic to it. One or the other doesn't make a difference to
I've
me.
used both. My only concern with the Office 365 is I think that's what we upgraded to. Didn't we purchase licenses already?
We've not made the purchase yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the budget to do so. The purchase hasn't been made yet. It's been pending. They were set to be made, and then this discussion came up as to whether or not we'd go G Suite or 365.
What I would suggest is once we get with the contract proposal from the outside company, is to work with them and get their recommendation on which one they prefer, which one they have experience with working through their systems. So personally, I really don't care. I think they're both good systems. They're both cloud-based. They're easy to use, and I think it would be fine for the town.
Do you have any thoughts, Don?
I've worked with Office 365, and I understand that. I've never used the Google, so I can't speak to it.
It's very similar. It's just Googleized instead of Microsoft Office type stuff. But it's both work the same way. It automatically saves everything, backs it up to the cloud, so it's really kind of seamless. So I don't think there's either one's gonna kill us. I think they're both very good.
I have to agree with you. I think we should wait until we get the consultant and
Okay.
let him help us. But in the interim, I know that Bossum's is this week.
Bussum's last day is this week, correct?
What is our plan for having somebody here to help support in-house activities until we get this completed?
We have Lee in-house, who at your last board meeting there was discussion about her serving in some sort of a support capacity.
Yeah.
So just as we transition to the next phase, she would be on site and capable of doing the types of troubleshooting issues that we would be having locally and on an as-needed basis. We do still have contract hours with Winslow. they're going to reach out if it's something beyond the capabilities locally.
Okay, because that's what I was
Yeah.
concerned about. I read through her resume and I thought she would be a great fit.
Yeah,
so.
I can't think of anybody better right now, and she's willing to do it, so.
Okay.
So by next meeting, we should have a
Yes.
contract proposal.
And we should be switched over on the new phone system.
Okay, and speaking of that, I'm planning on having the regular meeting in 2
Yeah,
weeks.
the 17th would be the next regular meeting.
Okay, just want to make sure that, well, it's just two of us now, gotta be on the same
No,
page there.
I have it in my calendar.
I want to make sure you're snowmobiling away on me.
No.
Is that it?
Thank you, yes.
Board of Selectmen announcements and updates and reports. The only thing I'd like to say is thank you for the Highway Department for 2 very long days.
I made it up.
That was a lot of snow. I don't think any of us expected 25.2 inches, but I know my back is barking about it too, so. Other than that, I don't have anything.
No, they did a great job. And I'm hearing through the Facebook crowd that everybody's loving our highway department, considering that when they leave the town of Townsend, things went downhill quick.
I remember having to drive through Ashby after, when I worked in Ashburnham, so. Kudos, guys, so. And that's all I have. I don't think there's any announcements.
I had just one
Okay.
quickie that came in. Just so folks understand, because there's been a lot of chatter about more trees coming down, and just so that they know that the construction phase of the Squanicook Rail Trail has begun. The first phase is tree cutting along the entire route, and that will continue for some time. They have a very short construction window, so they had to start at a certain date on November, and they have to be completed by March. And then whatever's not done will be continued into next season. But so you'll be seeing a lot of work, a lot of trees coming down along the way, and I know some of it actually coincides with the tree cutting that has already taken place with Unitil, so it kind of opens up some areas quite a bit.
Good, I was wondering about that myself, so. 4.3, we don't have any announcements or events. 4.6, review and sign payroll bills, payable warrants.
I make a motion that we sign our payroll and bill payable warrants out of session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
No executive session, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn at 6:54?
Okay, second.
Would be yes, last week's review.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Hartley.